Hey YouTube, it's your girl Dr. J, and I wanted to do these videos because I was gone for over a week. My family went on vacation. It was my husband, my kids, and some extended family. We had an amazing vacation. We were gone for over a week, but when I came back, I had a bunch of questions in my email, and when I noticed that because I generally will try to answer questions relatively right away, when I had kind of this pile of questions, I noticed a pattern in them, and I was like, well, let me just kind of do some videos and I can address those right away. And then also, when I get these really similar questions, I'll be able to kind of tell people, in the video, and they won't, necessarily have to like write and ask things specifically. So hopefully these will help. The first question is kind of what I'm dubbing Homeschooling 101. And it covers that kind of fundamental question that I get a lot, which is, how do you homeschool? What advice do you have for people who are beginning to homeschool? And so let me address that one first. The advice that I give to new homeschoolers is generally look at homeschooling the same way you looked at having a new baby. Okay, because you go through a very similar pattern. First, when you find out you're having a baby, some of the first things that people do is they go and they get a bunch of books, like what to expect when you're expecting, and you visit a lot of blogs and vlogs, and you're taking in all this information. And one of the first things that you find is that all the information is conflicting. So you may ask, okay, well, how do you get a baby to sleep at night? And you get advice from everything from sleep training all the way through co-sleeping. And you find that the people that sleep train think the people that are co-sleeping are the devil, and the people that co-sleep think the people that sleep train are abusive, And so you just go, okay, how can there be all this different advice, and how come it's conflicting? And part of that is because people are different, children are different, parents are different, households are different. And that's the same thing with homeschooling. You will see people that do everything from school at home all the way through unschooling, and the advice will be absolutely conflicting in every way, shape, or form. And just like you had to take all that kind of baby advice with a grain of salt, you have to take all homeschooling advice with a grain of salt, even mine, okay? Because people homeschool, for the children that they have. And so your children are unique. You as a home educator are unique. And so what works for someone else is not necessarily going to work for your household. So the advice that I have is to just take the things that make sense to you and that make sense for your family. So if you have, one child, you may be able to get a lot of nuggets from people that may have multiple children, but you won't be able to, take their homeschool and just emulate that in your household, because there, the dynamics that you have when you have more than one children is going to be different than when you have just one, or even when you have multiple children. Like I have multiple children, but so part of that is a set of twins, and so that's a very different dynamic than other people that may have 3 children, but they're all spaced apart, very different than mine are spaced apart. And so it's just, what works for one family isn't necessarily going to work for your family. You may be able to get some nuggets from one person or another, but just know that it doesn't matter if it works for somebody else. That doesn't mean it's going to work for you. That doesn't mean it's going to be right for you. If it's not right for you, that doesn't mean that it's wrong for them. It's just not right for you. And so you just ignore it all except for the pieces that you want to try. The second piece of advice that I have is that everybody is going to tell you don't buy anything. And that's the same thing that everybody told you when you first had your baby, and you ignored them then, and you are going to ignore those people now, because you just go, oh no, my baby needs a nursery and they need all this and they need all that. And but you find out right after you have that baby that it doesn't make sense to buy 3 boxes of Pampers, because your child may be allergic to Pampers, or they may leak with Pampers. And so you have to do Huggies, or Huggies or Pampers may not work for you, and you have to do a store brand or some other brand, or you may want to try cloth diapering, and you may do that for a while, and you just go, no, this is not working for me. And so it just doesn't make sense to buy a lot of anything before you get that baby home, and before you start seeing what's going to work for that baby. That's the same thing with your homeschool. I'm not going to tell you to not do a homeschool room. Just like everybody wants a nursery, everybody wants a homeschool room when they start. I'm just saying only stock it with the very bare minimum that you need, because you need to have an opportunity to learn and see what's going to work specifically for your child before you buy a lot of stuff. Because if you don't, you will end up with a lot of blood, sweat, tears, wasted money, wasted space, all that other sort of stuff. So I'm not saying don't buy stuff. I'm just saying look at the minimum of what you think you need. And what the minimum of what you need may be different, just like for a baby. Some people may say, oh, I need a crib. And then other people may say, I might not need a crib, but I need a rocking chair. That's my minimum. And so just buy the minimum of what you think you need, and then you can go from there as you learn your children's needs a little bit more. The third piece of advice that I have, and I think one of the most important pieces that I tell people, is that your first year, it's really about survival. Just like your first year of having that baby was about survival, right? You were just trying to get through that first year, and that was where your focus was, just getting through that first year. That's the focus when you start homeschooling. Just get through the first year, because it's going to be rough. You're going to have a lot of sleepless nights, a lot of sleep deprivation, a lot of questioning yourself and your skills and your abilities, just like you had those sleepless nights and questioning your skills and abilities when you first had that baby. The same thing happens with homeschooling. But if you keep the primary focus in mind, which is building relationship and building that bond with your child, because just like that new bond that you make when you first have that baby, that bond, that strong bond, is what gets you through the ups and downs of parenting those first few years. That's the same thing with homeschooling. Establishing that really strong bond as parent-teacher, child-student, that is what's going to get you through the ups and downs of homeschooling, because there's going to be ups and there's going to be downs, peaks and valleys and all that kind of good stuff. It happens for everyone. No one has just completely smooth sailing. But how you spend that first year is really what sets you up for kind of the rest of that experience. And if you really set that first year about learning your child, learning the type of learner that you have, the way that your child takes in information, if you can pinpoint that, that will save you so much through the long haul. Just like knowing that your baby likes to sleep with music on versus they need to sleep with no sound, knowing that your baby loves it when you sing but they hate it when you laugh, knowing that your baby, that those same type of discoveries are what really happened in that first year, where you go, oh, okay, my child likes to learn by doing, or my child really likes workbooks, or my child really likes interactive learning, or they learn from videos. Just learning those things and setting that relationship and just getting to know each other in this new form of a relationship. That's really what that first year is about. And when you focus on that and get through that, it really, really does set the tone for things. And you just want to get through it, because just like everybody else, my first year, like people tell you they don't remember their first year with a baby. I don't really remember my first year homeschooling. I really don't. I tell people, oh, it was great. It wasn't too bad. But I'm sure that when I was in it, I was like, what have I done? And I think a lot of people are like that. Like, I can tell that new homeschooler look, because you're kind of going like, what did I do? And I just want to tell you that you're going to get through it. You're going to survive it. And you're going to be wiser until you add on that next child. Just like, you were great, after your first year with your first baby, until you had the next one. And then you're like, I thought I knew what I was doing. This one is not the same. It is broken. Hello. Same thing when you add in more kids as you're homeschooling. You're like, really? Because that worked great for your brother. What's the matter? Because it's a new child, new dynamic, gonna start it all over again. But really, with homeschooling, those are the big three things I would tell you. Look at everything, take it all in, but take it all with a grain of salt, because Your family is going to be unique and different, and what's going to work for you is going to be unique and different. Don't overspend. I'm not telling you not to spend anything, not to set anything up. Go ahead and do that, but don't go too far in until you get to see how things are going to work for you. And finally, focus on bonding in that relationship for the first year. Just get through that first year, loving each other, knowing each other, understanding how each other works, and that sets you up for success for the rest of the time. I hope this helps. This is Dr. J, and I'm out. Bye bye.